We see Egyptian police in full riot gear, poised to close the border for the night behind us. They are there to quell any unrest that might break out when the Palestinians who have been waiting all day are turned back. We enter the arrival terminal, which is filled with thousands of Palestinians trying to get through this final hurdle and be accepted into Egypt, now only a few meters away. Give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to be free. The four of us Westerners are escorted to a VIP waiting room, where we wait an additional hour. Finally, we are told, we are ready for you. We follow an Egyptian official who is holding our passports toward the Palestinian side. We ask why we are being sent back to Gaza, and are told that, you cannot pass, because you entered Gaza illegally by the sea. Illegally? I see my friend Marwan from Gaza City who is trying to exit. He says he will make some phone calls on our behalf, but it is better if we are not seen together right now as it might hinder his chances to get out. We sit on our suitcases to discuss our options. We could refuse to leave and get arrested by Egypt. Maybe then we might get deported, which might be okay, since we are just trying to get home anyway. The only problem with this plan is that we might be denied entry if we ever wanted to enter Egypt again in the future. Next we are told that we are holding up Palestinians who want to pass, and that the whole border will be closed until we leave. This is funny and certainly not necessary. We are not threatening anyone or anything. It is the same line the Israeli border guards gave us yesterday at Erez. Finally, Tawfiq Jabbar, the Palestinian chief of police from Gaza, is sent over to cajole us back over to the Gaza side. He explains how he has been separated for years from his wife, who lives in Lebanon, for similar reasons. This all seems absurd. We are all unarmed international human rights activists, and clearly pose no danger to Egypt. One might be able to understand that Israel would block us, but Egypt? This is understandable only if you consider who wields the real power here, Israel and the USA. Israel is the biggest recipient of US foreign aid in the world, receiving an average of over $3 billion a year in military aid alone. Israel has received about 20% of US foreign aid to the whole world these last 40 years, and that aid has been unconditional, given the special relationship between the USA and Israel. Guess who the second biggest recipient of US foreign aid is? Egypt. Why? For making peace with Israel, as part of the Camp David peace accord in 1978. But this aid is conditional. It gives Israel and the USA the strings to control the puppets within Hosni Mubarak's regime. The US has provided around $2 billion a year to the Mubarak regime in Egypt for the past 30 years. About $1.3 billion in military aid that keeps the regime in power. That way, it can force Mubarak to do the bidding for the US and Israel. Egypt is a poor country. I'm sure that $3 billion a year from the US government is a lot more important to them than we are. So if Israel and its USA proxies want to punish us for entering Gaza by boat without Israel's permission, so be it. We are now political footballs, to be kicked back and forth as part of a greater geopolitical strategy that is beyond us, each country carefully guarding its goalposts at Erez and at Rafah. It is annoying, but it is also a manifestation of a much deeper problem. Lauren Booth is highly organized. She has speed dial and is on the phone immediately with contacts at the British consulate, who are very polite and sound helpful and hopeful. The British are more polite that way than the Americans, she explains. The Americans are blunt and tell it to you rudely to your face. Because she is a resident there, and they are already helping Lauren, Bella is also in touch with the British consulate. I'm stuck. I have no phone numbers for the US embassies in Tel Aviv or Cairo. Besides, it is the Labor Day weekend in the US, so their offices are all probably closed until Tuesday. Here, Ramadan will be starting on Monday, which complicates matters even further. Besides, I don't have much confidence right now that my American embassy will help me out much anyway. Yesterday at Erez, Donna Wallach had the number for the US embassy in Tel Aviv. I dialed the number to request assistance to cross into Israel with our Palestinian patients. I was referred to 3 phone numbers at the US consulate in East Jerusalem. 2 of the numbers at the consulate had tape-recorded messages, and the third was answered by a hostile-sounding woman who gave me the endless runaround, saying in essence, there is nothing we can do. Maybe the embassy in Cairo will be more helpful. But I don't see myself starting that project until Tuesday, after the American Labor Day weekend is over. The British consulate gets back to Lauren and advises us to return to Gaza City for the night and try again tomorrow morning. Now it is dark and we are still here in limbo between the fences. Now we are hanging out at the Palestinian border office. We request a ride back to the Palestinian gate so we can get a taxi back to Gaza City. We must wait for evening prayer to be finished. After prayer, we must wait further for some unexplained reason. We grow hungry, and one of the guards goes out to the Palestinian Rafah side and brings us back some falafel sandwiches, which we appreciate, but we just want to get back to Gaza City and get some rest. As we wait, some of us, including me, grow more tired and more irritable. This situation is a sad result of years of no diplomatic process, because if there is no real diplomacy, a standoff ensues. With a heavy-handed and brutal military response from Israel, the counter-response of oppressed Palestinians is to elect a hardline government with a more centralized governing style. The tragedy now is that foot soldiers, like those around us here, cannot even make the most rudimentary and mundane decisions, like driving us and our luggage a half-kilometer back to the Palestinian gate. It has to go up the chain of command, and this is taking hours. Finally, we decide to force the issue. We grab our bags and start walking toward the Palestinian gate. The Palestinian border guards drive after us. There is shouting between us and tempers flare. Finally they drive us back to the gate and make arrangements to get us to Gaza City by taxi. As good hosts, they insist on covering the cost. We depart amid tensions and get back to Gaza City at 9:30 p.m. totally exhausted and sweaty. We will try again tomorrow. Sunday, August 31st, 2008. We awake at 6 o'clock, only to find out that Egypt and Gaza have fallen back to standard time, while Israel and the West Bank are still on daylight savings time, so it's really only 5 o'clock here, and 6 o'clock an hour's drive north. In Jerusalem. This adds to the confusion in terms of coordinating our departure with outside intermediaries, as if we didn't have enough confusion already yesterday. Ken O'Keefe joins us today in our attempt to exit Gaza. He needs to get back to his pregnant wife in London, who is due in a month. We arrive at the border gate in Rafah at 9 o'clock, Gaza Standard Time. We spend 2 hours on the Palestinian side of Rafah having coffee and playing with local Palestinian boys. Bella has brought tennis balls for them to play with. I try teaching them how to juggle and amuse them with my physical comedy shtick. There is laughter all around, and the stoic Hamas border guards look at us with puzzled faces. They do not seem to know what to make of it all. After 2 hours, we clear the Palestinian gate and the terminal. Our passports are stamped for exit a second time. Today, there will be no prolonged waiting on buses for us, even though that is the fate of Palestinians trying to cross. Instead, we are taken to the same waiting room as last night, where we will lounge around in more comfort until the Egyptian side decides whether or not to clear us. We see the same guards that we were in a shouting match with last night. There are apologies all around and forgiveness. From noon until the evening, Lauren is on the phone repeatedly with the British consulate and her husband Craig in France. Both are working on our behalf. At 1300 hours, Dr. Mona Relfera calls us to tell us that the elderly lady with the spinal cord tumor that we escorted to Erez crossing 2 days ago has finally made it across after 7 months of efforts and is now on her way to Jerusalem. We spend the day drafting a press release using Ken's computer, which we will release along with a press conference on Tuesday. Here it is. Like Palestinians, human rights workers denied exit through Erez checkpoint to Israel and through Rafah crossing to Egypt. For immediate release. Gaza, the 2nd of September 2008, 4 foreign nationals from the UK, USA, Ireland, and Australia who helped peacefully challenge the siege of Gaza by traveling through international waters with the Free Gaza movement, have so far been refused exit to Israel via Erez crossing or to Egypt via Rafah crossing. For over 2 years Israel has severely restricted access to Gaza, blocking aid shipments and trade. As a consequence, Gaza's economy has collapsed, forcing most industries to close and dramatically increasing malnutrition rates among children. 80% of families in Gaza are now completely dependent on United Nations food aid. Travel outside of Gaza has been likewise blocked by Israel. Over 200 people have died as a result of not being able to leave Gaza for medical treatment. Hundreds of Palestinian students, accepted to universities abroad, have also been denied exit visas by Israel. Among the internationals currently stranded in Gaza are Irish activist and former Hawaiian legislator Kenneth O'Keefe, British journalist Lauren Booth, the sister-in-law of former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, and Dr. William Dienst, a family and emergency room physician from the USA. This refusal of entry by Israel and Egypt effectively confines the internationals to the 40 by 10 kilometer enclave of Gaza, along with 1.5 million Palestinians, likewise sealed off from loved ones who live abroad, and denied freedom of movement for purposes of education, medical care, leisure, or work. The 4 internationals attempted to peacefully exit Gaza through Israeli-controlled Erez crossing on August 29. Israel denied the exit, stating that the activists had entered Gaza illegally by sea, even though that voyage had been formally allowed by the Israeli Foreign Ministry and Internal Affairs Ministry, according to newspaper reports. An official statement by Israel's Defense Ministry, August 25, declared the Free Gaza movement did not violate any laws, and that their action posed no security threat. Haaretz. Diplomatic channels are trying to negotiate the exit of the human rights workers, who wish, like Palestinians, to exercise their human rights under Article 13 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. 1. Everyone has the right to freedom of movement and residence within the borders of each state, and 2. Everyone has the right to leave any country, including his own, and to return to his country. At 16:30, Islam Shathoan, the police spokesperson for the Palestinian government, visits us. He tells us that Dr. Riyad El-Serraj has been in touch with the British Embassy and the Arab League to work on our behalf. There is supposed to be a decision at 8 p.m., though not clear whether that is Gaza/Egyptian time or Israel time. Afterward, we are visited by Dr. Ghazi Hamad, from Prime Minister Ismail Haniyeh's office. Dr. Hamad is the former spokesman of the Palestinian government in Gaza. While you could always consider using the tunnels, he finally says to our pleas of frustration. He tells us there are currently over 100 tunnels between Gaza and Egyptian Rafah. But the Israelis say they destroyed 90 tunnels, when they destroyed thousands of homes along the border. I answer. Yes, he answers back. Every time they discovered a tunnel, we built 2 more. The only problem is that, if we use the tunnels, we could still be apprehended in Egypt, or be in big trouble when we try to leave through the Cairo airport. We wait until 9 p.m. and are finally told that the Egyptians have refused our entry, and that we must turn back. Another 13-hour day of total futility. Our Palestinian brothers driving us back to Gaza City a second time say this is nothing. For them it is much worse. And now the Rafah border is closed again, and tomorrow, Ramadan begins. Bella, shot at and refused travel. We are all Palestinian. Tuesday, the 2nd of September 2008. Hi, all. I've asked Bradford University how long I can reasonably hang on to my midwifery place without there being too little time left for it to be taken up by someone else. They've said Thursday. I started to think optimistically about a life here, if losing the university place is beyond my control. But the Australian embassy rep, "Why are you in Gaza? Don't you know it's dangerous?" is implying that they will only continue to negotiate my exit if I promise to leave whenever they get me a way out. Even if it's too late to go to university, which is the main thing, I'm going home for this soon. because negotiations are happening at a very high level, and it would compromise their integrity and future safety of Australians if I change my mind about wanting to leave. All of this in the patronizing tones normally used by one's arresting officer.